Hey everyone, happy Friday. I had a lot of interest the other day in people wanting to know more about memory. They messaged me saying this is an ongoing thing with my child. It's really affecting their self-esteem and so forth. So I wanted to pop on and talk about why it's really important to address memory issues from a functional neurology approach in terms of understanding what type of memory is weak in your child. So what I see a lot of people doing is their child's memory is weak and they either do this or they're told to do this, and that is just to do memory exercises and so forth. And memory games are not a bad thing to do. They can support and help your child. But what you want to do is first identify what type of memory is weak, because we have different types of memory and you can't fix what you cannot identify. So let's unpack that and get into that a little bit more. And I first want to start off by saying addressing memory is really important. It's like the hallmark of learning disabilities, right? And even ADHD and all kinds of even trauma and so forth. And it really affects self-esteem. It's what can make kids feel really dumb, right? That's what they'll say. They'll say, I feel dumb, I feel stupid, I can't remember what I read, I can't remember what the teacher said, all the other kids remembered, I couldn't remember my times tables, whatever the case may be. And unfortunately, a lot of other people don't recognize it as poor memory. I have moms telling me, dad thinks that he just needs to pay better attention, the teacher thinks that, right? And it can feel like there's nothing that we can do. And what do you really do about memory, right? That's what moms say. I understand with dyslexia, there's certain approaches we can do, but what do we really do to improve their memory? And it can make us feel like there's really nothing we can do when there totally is. So you don't really hire a tutor for memory for the most part, right? And it's really the same approach that I use in my program with memory is what we use for dyslexia and ADHD, is first looking at nourishment, looking at those connections. But we want to go deeper than, like, if kids have memory issues, the typical approach that can leave you really frustrated if you and your child have been at it for a while and aren't seeing the results with this are things like, the extra time for tests and modified tests or modified learning assignments that are, will be implemented in the IEP. And you'll be told things like repetition is key, repeat, make lists, make a schedule, write stuff down, play memory games, practice. And your kid is doing that. They're practicing. And it's the worst when they study their butt off for a test and they really don't get the results they wanted. Maybe they even failed. And obviously as a parent, it can leave you feeling really frustrated. So you have to identify firstly what the memory issue is and so forth. So I'm going to go through it very simply today. I'm going to be going more in depth next Thursday. I'm going to be doing a free training on memory and how to address it, improve it, and how to screen for what type of memory is weak. So basically what it boils down to is if you don't know what type of memory is weak, you don't know what part of the brain is responsible for that, because different parts of the brain are responsible for different types of memory. So your brain isn't set up like just your brain and then this section here is for memory and that's it. So basically, I won't go into the neuroanatomy of the brain and bore you to death, but again, as I say, you can't fix what you don't know. So different parts of the brain for different types of memory. So this is what I want you to do, whether you're watching the live or the replay. I want you to type yes if this resonates. So I'm going to go through some different types of memory. And as I'm going through the questions, let me know if this is something that you see with your child. So type yes if you have noticed that your child has a hard time with the following things. Things like having a hard time finding their backpack, their phone, their iPad, basically misplacing things. They can't remember where they put it. If they have a hard time telling you what they learned in school, or maybe even being able to complete their homework because they can't remember what they learned from today's lesson, to actually implement to practice what they learned in class that day. Do they have a hard time remembering chores or series of instructions? If you're saying yes to this stuff, that is likely a short-term memory issue. It's probably one of the more common ones that I tend to see, and is typically one of the more common ones, is very much associated with learning disabilities. And that typically happens on the left side of the brain. Short-term memory equals left side of the brain. Now, next, Let me know if this resonates. Does your child have a hard time holding information in their head while doing another task? So mental math is an example of this, but also like if the teacher says, you know, okay, I want you to do this, then this, then this, and then you're going to do this. And it's pretty straightforward. Most kids their age would be able to do that. And then your child has a difficult time doing that because now that they're doing step 1, step 2, 3, 4 is gone. They completely forgot what that is. And this being able to use the information and hold that short-term memory and be able to manipulate that information and do something else with it, like with mental math, is working memory. It's a form of short-term memory. And again, that's a type of breakdown that really tends to occur again in kids with learning disabilities. If your child has a hard time remembering, this is different now. If your child has a hard time remembering information that's repeated over and over and over again, that's more long-term memory. It's less common. I don't want to insinuate it's not common or doesn't happen or that there's something seriously wrong, but it's less common. It's just a different type of memory, and it's less commonly affected in children, more likely in adults and so forth who are have like say dementia or something like that. This is a little bit different. It's still connected to some of the others, but hard time remembering procedures, like a hard time remembering say phonic sounds or automatizing skills that are necessary to be able to read. Hard time remembering the steps of that they've gone over and over, like say riding a bike or learning how to play an instrument, that there's certain things that they have to know how to do. That's called procedural memory. They've actually found that dyslexics have a weak procedural memory in different studies compared to children who were non-dyslexic. So basically different types of memory takes place in different areas of the brain. So short-term memory is left brain, long-term memory is right brain. That doesn't mean that it's just as simple as that. There's certain memories that are stored that are connected to our basal ganglia and cerebellum, particularly more motor type memories in terms of like that muscle memory we talk about with learning a sport or something like that. And then there's the amygdala, which is more very emotional, strong emotional type, reactive type memories. And so you need to identify what type of memory is weak in order to strengthen it. And that's really how you go from these compensations, like these IEP modifications of, you know, more time taking a test and reduced work and all of that type of stuff, to actually having a better memory. So like I said, I am going to be talking about this next Thursday on the November 18th, 12 p.m. Eastern. I'll be doing a training, 5 ways to improve memory that you probably haven't heard of or probably haven't tried. So what I'm going to be having in that is screening for what types of memory could be weak in your child, how to nourish the brain for better memory, and what exercises can help promote better memory. So I will keep you posted on that in terms of how to join and so forth, but it'll be streamed into my Facebook group, Building Better Brains. If you're not in there already, do join. And if you're interested in knowing more about that or my program, then book a free clarity call. I'll post a link in the comments below, and we can chat about what I do in my program, how it works, and how a bottom-up approach to improving the brain is much more significant in terms of getting real results and moving past compensations and into corrective solutions, and how that is really the optimal way to go. So thanks for watching, everyone. Keep me posted on what you think with what type of memory is weak in your child, what you are seeing and experiencing, and do tag or share this with anyone who you think could benefit. Have a great day and have a great weekend. Bye.